Good morning, children. Today I am present with a poem, A Thing of Beauty, by John Keats. So, first of all, let's know about the poet. John Keats is an English romantic poet. He died of tuberculosis only when he was 25 years old. But in his short span of life, he published 54 works. Some of his famous works are Endymion, Lamia, Hyperion. John Keats is famous for the use of vivid imagery in his poem. His well-known quotes are, "A thing of beauty is a joy forever. The poetry of the earth is never dead. Beauty is truth, truth, beauty." Now some questions. First, what is beauty? As we are going to read the poem, A Thing of Beauty, so we must know what is beauty. The quality in a thing or a person that gives us pleasure is beauty. So all such things which give us pleasure are beautiful things. Beauty is not only to be seen. Beauty may be heard, beauty may be felt. Now second question is, name some of the beautiful things. This question is for you. And the third one is, which do you think is the source of the beauty? The mind or object? Means what is the source of beauty? If mind or object? Of course, mind. That's why same thing may be beautiful to one person and may not be to others. There is one well-known saying, beauty lies in the eyes of beholders. So it depends upon the person that this thing is beautiful to him or not. Now, background of the poem. The present poem, A Thing of Beauty, is an excerpt from the poem Endymion by John Keats. The poem Endymion is based on a Greek legend about a shepherd named Endymion. Once the shepherd had a dream of Cynthia, the moon goddess, and after that he resolved to seek her out, and to search her, he started wandering. He wandered through the forest. He wandered under the sea. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its loveliness increases. It will never pass into nothingness, but will keep above quiet first and asleep full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing. The poet here wants to tell us that a beautiful thing is a source of permanent joy for us. Its loveliness, its beauty never ends. Rather, with the passage of time, it increases. It will never pass into nothingness. Nothingness means, children, a state of being nothing, insignificance, unimportance, emptiness. Means the poet says it will never pass into nothingness. Means the beautiful thing is always important. Its importance is never lessened. Its significance is never reduced, but will keep a bower quiet for us and a sleep full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing. Bower, a shady place under the tree. The poet here has compared the beautiful thing to a bower. As a shady place gives shelter, comfort to a tired traveler, in the same way, the person who is disappointed, who is sad, the beautiful thing gives pleasure, gives joy to that person. The person forgets his sadness, his sorrow after enjoying the beautiful things, after watching the beauty of the thing. And then he has a sound sleep with sweet dreams in his night. He is motivated to enjoy the life. He enjoys the health and he has good breathing. Now children, rhyme scheme. So please see the last word of the first line is forever. In the second line, never. So forever, never. Then a. The last word of the third line, keep. And the last word of the fourth line is sleep. So keep and sleep. B. Now children, the last word of the fifth line is breathing. And when we will see the sixth line is not given here. Then the last word of the sixth line is also like breathing. So here the rhyme scheme is A, forever, never, A, keep, sleep, B. Now let's talk about the poetic device. Sleep sweet. You can see in the poem, the last word of the fourth line is sleep. And the third word of fifth line is sweet. So the first letter of sleep is S and the first letter of sweet is S. So here the figure of speech, alliteration is used. So we'll have to know first of all what is alliteration. Alliteration is a poetic device in which the initial consonant sounds of words are repeated in close succession. Means what is alliteration? Alliteration is such a figure of speech in which more than one word will be started with the same consonant sound and very close to one another. So here sleep and sweet have been used very close to one another and starting with the same consonant sound. Children, one thing here you will notice that alliteration is based on the sound, not the letter. You can see the example of Kim and Kim. So the first letter of Kim is K and the first letter of Kim is C. So the letters, starting letters are different, but the sound is same, Kim and Kim. So here also alliteration is used. Children, one more figure of speech is used, a bower quiet. Here there is comparison between bower and a beautiful thing, but indirect comparison. The words like and as are not used. So here the figure of speech, metaphor is used. What is metaphor? A metaphor is a figure of speech that is used to make a comparison between two things that aren't alike but do have something in common. Unlike a simile, where two things are compared directly using like or as, a metaphor's comparison is more indirect. Children, metaphor is used when uh, when there are some similarities. The things or the persons are not quite similar, but there may be certain similarity. So metaphor is a indirect comparison. We don't use as and like, just like simile. You can see here one example. Her tears were a river flowing down her cheeks. Here there is comparison between tears and river, but the both are quite different. There is only one similarity, that the both have water. So that is metaphor. So children, in the first stanza we have seen that a thing of beauty is a source of permanent joy. It always gives us pleasure. Its importance, its beauty, its loveliness is never reduced. Second thing, we have seen that it is as pleasant to us, it is as comfortable to us as a bower to a tired traveler. And the third thing which we have come to know through this stanza is about figure of speech. It has two figures of speech, means in this stanza two figures of speech are used. First, alliteration. Second, metaphor. So we have learned here the uses of metaphor and alliteration also. What is alliteration? When more than one thing is used, when more than one word is used very close to one another, starting with the same consonant sound, is alliteration. Here, sleep and sweet. The both have been started with the consonant sound S. Then metaphor. Metaphor is a poetic device, a figure of speech, where two things or two persons are compared, but there is indirect comparison. Only something is common. Unlike simile, here there is no use of as and like. Now, let's see the second stanza. Therefore, on every morrow are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to the earth, spite of despondence, of the inhuman dearth, of noble natures, of the gloomy days, of all the unhealthy and overdarkened ways, made for us searching. Yes, in spite of all, some shape of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirits. The poet here says that our life is full of despondence, means disappointment. This earth is full of disappointment, of the inhuman death of noble natures. Here, most of the people are inhuman, cruel. The people have lack of noble natures. And our days are gloomy, sad, sorrowful, of all the unhealthy and over-darkened ways. Our ways are dark, confused. We don't know where to go, what to do. Unhealthy. We are not enjoying good health. Most of our relatives are unhealthy. But in spite of all this sorrow, all the disappointment, we are every day, every moment, raising a flowery band, means weaving a garland of flowers to bind us to the earth, to get attached to the earth. Means we want to be encircled by the beautiful things. We are raising a flowery band means we want to be encircled, we want to be surrounded by the beautiful things so that we can get attached to the earth. We can live our lives on the earth. Means in spite of the sorrow and unhappiness, we are living on this earth. We are living our lives merely because of these beautiful things. If there are no beautiful things on this earth, then we cannot live our life. It will be very difficult for us to live for a single moment. Some shape of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirits. There are certain beautiful things which removes pall, cover from our dark spirits. Cover of what? Cover of sadness, cover of sorrow from our spirits. When we watch the beautiful things, when we observe the beautiful things, then the sorrow from our mind, from our heart is removed. Now just see the meaning. Despondence, feeling downcast, disheartened, hopeless, disappointment. Wreath, noun form, garland. Wreath, decorate with garland. Morrow, next day. Dearth, shortage, lack of. Pall, children, pall means shroud also, burial garment. And here pall means simply covering, cover. Gloomy, sad. Now children, let's talk about rhyme scheme. So here also there is same rhyme scheme. You remember that in the first stanza, the last word of the fifth line was breathing, and here reading. Then breathing, A, earth, dearth, B. So A, B. Again you can see days, ways, A, all, Paul, B. So throughout the poem there is same rhyme scheme, A, B. Now literary device. See here, anaphora of noble natures, of all the unhealthy. Anaphora is a figure of speech in which words repeat at the beginning of successive clauses, phrases, or sentences. If the same word is repeated just one after another in the beginning of just one after another clause or sentence, then this is called anaphora. So here of noble natures and of all the unhappy. The word of is here repeated in both of the clauses. Now alliteration. Band, bind, noble nature. So again, the two words have been started with the same consonant sound. Band and bind with B and noble and nature with N. Metaphor. Raising a flowery band. Here there is comparison between flowery band and between the beautiful things which are around us. In flowery band, there are beautiful flowers woven, and we are also encircled by some beautiful things. Imagery. As you know about kids, that kids is known for the use of imagery. So here in this poem also, a flowery band to bind us. So first of all, you will have to know what is imagery. Image means picture. So the poet or the writer create a mental picture with the use of words. When you read a flowery band to bind us, then naturally a picture comes to our mind. That the picture of garland, the picture of beautiful things. So the poet has drawn a picture by using beautiful words. Now inversion. When normal order of words is reversed, like are we raising a flower band? What is the normal order here? We are raising a flowery band, but it's not written in normal order. R is written at first. Are we raising a flowery band? So it is called inversion because the normal order of words is reversed. What should be there? We are raising a flowery band. But here, are we raising a flowery band? So children, in this stanza we have seen that in spite of all sorrow, disappointment, cruelty, inhumanity, the human beings are living on this earth. Why? Because of the beautiful things. If there are no beautiful things, we cannot live our life for a moment. Here also we have learned the usage of some figures of speech such as anaphora. So what is this? When the first word of the successive clauses or phrases or sentences is repeated, this is known as anaphora. As here you can see, of the inhuman death, of noble natures, of the gloomy days, of all the unhealthy. In all these phrases, the word of has been repeated. Then imagery. It's very easy. The word imagery has come from image. So the poet or writer draws image by using the colorful words, beautiful words. They draw mental picture. By reading the words or phrases, a picture comes in our mind that is called image. And then inversion. Generally we see in a poem that words are not in order sometimes. So when in a sentence the words are not in order in a poem, generally we see this is called inversion. So that's all. Thanks for today.